What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And through that collaboration with those two great organizations, I was part of a team that reached out to over 100,000 fathers and men around the world last year. So as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Good morning, Ryan Knight.
Good day, sir. Always good to see you. Feels like
It's been a minute since I've seen you. It's been a while.
It has. And for those that don't know who I am, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. Also an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights, and we're in the full swing of our season. We do mobile waterless car cleaning. We go to people's houses or their offices, clean their car on the spot without using water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And our student youth entrepreneurship programming is about to start our training. So May 7th is our first training day. So if you know anybody, we're still recruiting. So we got 2 weeks left of hiring. If you know somebody that is looking for a job this summer, might be interested in entrepreneurship, please send them my way. I'll share the link on my social media. And yeah, if you go to our website, detailingnights.ca, you'll see it says Youth Entrepreneurship Program. Click it, sign up, and we'll invite you to the info session.
Excellent. And before we go any further, just like to say that this episode of The Morning Vibe is sponsored by the Macmillan Group, providing mortgage solutions one client at a time since 1999. Buying, refinancing, or investing, call them at 1-866-883-0885 or visit them at themacmillangroupinc.com. So I'd like to say thank you to the Macmillan Group for doing that for us, and just want to show their information at the screen here. So if you want to get a hold of them, there's their information. There's a website address and their phone number. So good morning. What's been going on, Ryan? It's been a minute.
Hey, man, I'm just sitting and admiring and taking notes from your conversations. I know.
Why?
I gotta learn somewhere. It's like either I learn beside you or I learn from afar, but I'm always learning.
Good
But last week, I know we had some quite powerful conversations.
last week was quite a week. Yes,
Absolutely.
online and offline.
Yes, exactly. So, hey, being able to continue that momentum, and really, I realized that this is one of the few Black focused, if it might be the only, especially live Black focused media outlet. So we have to get the stories. And as we find them, we want to get people's sides. We're able to bring on the Global Mail journalists. We're able to bring on
Chris Hene, yes. And then actually, Chris Hene sent you and I an email about wanting to reach out to another person. So that's...
And I mean, like, we're going to jump into that, but it was so great that he did mention that because, of course, of today. But just before we jump into our guest today, I did want to really double down on how important it is to control our narratives. And we have to understand sometimes the story that we're covering isn't positive, and sometimes it is, but having our perspective is what I feel like we are lacking. And again, that even dovetails into our guest today, because owning our own infrastructure, and in media, we saw the one in the US, the Black news channel, shut down. And that might have been one of the few Black focused and owned, well, technically owned, or I say Black run media.
I would say not own, run.
Yeah, not own. And so this is where we are. And I feel like what you bring with your experience and what you've already been doing for over 3,000 conversations is now, how do we amplify that? And that's why I'm honored to always be on with you every week.
Well, thank you for the kind words. It's funny, when I first started this journey, and I call it a journey, it was very challenging to get people who look like me from this country on a platform. And slowly but surely, and one of the things we say about entrepreneurs is you got to be resilient.
Right. Yes.
You have to be resilient.
Consistency is key.
You have to be persistent. And there was something that one of my mentors said the other day. I want to pull it up because it was really, really good. I want to see if it's it. I'll find it in a second, but it was like um, pers- preparation, persistency, and practice. Now, there may be in a little bit of a crazy order, but those three P's, you have to have the preparation, the practice, and the persistency, right?
Right.
Those three things. So I'm not saying I'm the poster child for it, but you know what? I've been blessed to receive a lot of wonderful just wonderful blessings from it, just hearing people's stories, just to continue on. We're going to be having some more people about that continuing story in the Global Mail. Actually, she won't be on this platform, but in about 2 weeks' time, 2 Sundays' time, the lady that was profiled in the first Global Mail story, she's going to be on my Black Canada Talking program.
Excellent.
The lady from Calgary.
Yes.
And but we've had a lot of response in regards to last week. So we're continuing on, and we want you to tell us who you want to have on. I've got some other people I'm reaching out to, some of them in the United States. Actually, I'm going to be reaching out to a lady who is a proponent of buying black. I think her name is Margaret Anderson or Lawrence or something like that. Okay. So I'm not afraid, people. You tell me who you want me to reach out to. I'm bold, sold, and told. I'm going to reach out until they get on there. But yeah,
well, and that's
actually, go ahead. There's a meeting happening this week about black media, which I won't get into too much. Maybe I'll get into on Friday. But there's a meeting of black media. So hey, by the way, how's your new girlfriend Marcy?
Girlfriend, listen.
Sheraton.
My wife is
I want to get in Sheraton's bad books
of this show. Okay,
so, what?
My wife is an avid fan of this show. So now that conversation is gonna happen. But who this Marcy? That Dr. Vibe chat? Cancel that right now.
Well, and who we're talking about, folks, if you're not, is Marcy Ian.
Yes.
Who is a cabinet minister.
Right. So the Minister of Women, Gender Equality, and Youth. Yes.
Yes. And it's very interesting. A while back, I shared with Ryan, I said, when she got elected, I said to Ryan, watch.
Before she got elected.
Yes, before actually, yes, I said,
yeah, because she was going up against the leader of the Green Party. And I was like, that to me seems like a tall task. And you're like,
no, I said, watch. And, so. And I knew Marcy. Here's a little trivia. Oh no, I won't say that. That's private. I've known Marcy Ian for a long, long time, and I'm very happy for her. And I just said good for her. I think the role that she has been asked to do in the government is suited perfectly for her.
Yeah, and it's interesting that her presence carries weight. She has that portfolio, but even before that, she
was on the television screens of Canada for years.
Absolutely.
Right. So
it's amazing to see it amplified.
Yeah, we would get into a deeper conversation but that's going to stay offline. There was other things I said way back when that came to fruition. So Ryan, I'm somewhat legit in Ryan's books now, because something I forecasted, one of those few things I threw against the wall stuck. Yes, but how was it meeting Minister Ian?
I thought it was, how do I say? Typically when you meet government officials, it's very, not I want to say stoic, but starch. And I didn't get that feeling. I felt like she genuinely wanted to be there. She answered questions openly, and she was asking questions. So it wasn't just her there with her speaking notes and hitting speaking points.
Yeah.
And two other MPs also joined. So MP Ruby Sohota and Safkat Ali, that are ministers here in Brampton. For those that don't know, we were here in Empowered for X having this entrepreneurship discussion with Minister Ian and the MPs. So yeah, it was great to have the discussion. I mean, she was asking about our ideas on how to solve certain solutions, which again caught me off guard, because typically when we meet with MPs, it's like, oh, did you know about the government does da 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 da. typically they don't say, what do you think we could do to add to what the government is doing? So I really enjoyed the conversation, and yeah, she seemed really genuine, and I'm looking forward to more conversations like that to follow up on that initial one.
Okay, well, we have a new friend to me. I've heard this gentleman by name, but I've never seen him before. But obviously, you know him because he gave you a shirt. So why don't you introduce him for us?
Absolutely. And when I was saying the dovetail into our guest today, when I talked about media outlets and infrastructure on the economic development side, infrastructure, I talk about it a lot, but this gentleman is actually the chair of the Pan African Credit Union. Ivor Christoper is leading the charge, I would say, bringing his over 20 years of experience in credit unions and also as a CPA. Well, I think he started as a CGA and now he's become a CPA. And I find it really important. They released a press release recently, I believe it was last week, talking about the filing with FISRA for PACU. So the application is in, and now I believe it's up to the community to really back it and support it to make sure that it gets through. So infrastructure is so important, and having a financial institution and being able to talk with you about it is not lost on me. So thank you for being here, Ivor.
Thank you, man. How are you doing? Thank you, Dr. Vibe and Ryan, for the invitation for today. This is great. I love this conversation. This conversation. This is how it gets started. This is how we help the community grow and get better.
Absolutely. We got to get the shirts out. If you don't have your PACU shirt,
Yes,
it's in the mail.
Dr. Vibe, I gotta get you one.
3X.
No worries, no worries.
I need 3X.
I got you. I got you. I got you. No worries. I got you.
All right. So let me ask, just want to actually hail out some people. Good morning, Christopher Lawrence. Good morning, Tim Frey. Good morning, Farley Flex. Thanks for taking the time to join us. If you have questions or comments, please bring them on. Before we get a little bit deeper into PACU, can you give a little background about yourself?
Okay, myself, as Ryan mentioned, I'm a CPA. I've been in the non-for-profit space for about 20 years, and I've also worked at a credit union. I was a controller for the Italian Canadian Savings and Credit Union for a couple of years, and that's where I got the idea that we should have our own. Because I was there, I was the only black guy, and I was in charge of the finance. I was more or less the CFO, and I looked around and I saw what a great job that they were doing for their community, and it was like, why can't we do this for ours? This is something that's really needed. So the seed was planted at that point in time, and then about 5 years ago, being with the Line Circle African Men's Association, it came to fruition, and the seed started to grow, and men like David Betty and I got together and we started this, and we then got involved with the Jamaican Canadian Association to really get some momentum behind it, and then I pulled in Ryan and the ACBN, and that's when things really started to blossom and grow, and then that culminated in us filing our application um, 2 weeks ago, actually. So, and I'm like really excited about that because we really put a lot of hard work behind it, did all the necessary work, did the feasibility study, the business plan, the economic impact, and all that sort of stuff. It actually was actually amazing doing that because we actually got to see the impact that this will have not only on our community but the larger community at the community at large. So it was really a great exercise, and so now we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We're just getting going. We're waiting for FISRA to go through their process and get going. But hopefully in the next 10 to 12 months, we'll be opening doors.
And then, so between, I guess, now and then, what is, I would say, the action items for PACU?
Okay. So the main action item right now is we're going to really start doing a marketing blitz and get it out to the community. We need to show support. We need to raise $15 million in capital investment. That's one of the requirements for getting the license. So we're going to really start pushing and getting it out to the community that we need backing by the community to raise that 50 million. And and go forward from there to set us up. And we're also looking at places where we're going to put our first branch. There's the city of Brampton, where Ryan is now. There's also the city of Toronto. Those two municipalities are really interested in us putting our first branch there.
Well, hold on, nothing east of Yonge Street again?
No, Durham. Well, hey,
You don't want to upset Durham black people.
I know, I know.
Yeah, Ajax will rise up.
I got a lot of in-laws out that way, so yes,
Okay.
I know.
All right. I want to ask and go back a bit. What can you share with us the process from the ideation stage to when it finally became a filing? Because I must have took that. We want to hear some of the journey, man.
Okay, so the journey started, like I mentioned, it started off as an idea I had. I said, let's start a black credit union. And I mentioned it at a meeting that I had with the Line Circle African Men's Association. And then one of my partners, David Betty, he joined. He came up to me and says, Ivor, let's make it happen. All right. And so from there, we got together. We got a couple of men together, and we started going through, okay, what do we need to get this going? So we went on to FISRA website, and we saw all the required. So we had to start putting together a business plan, feasibility study, doing all the policies and procedures, and we did an economic impact study. At first thing we did was a community survey. So we had to show that we had supported the community. That's the first thing that we had to do. So we went to places like, for example, Revival Time Tabernacle, and did physical surveys. And then we went online and we distributed it out. We were looking to get at least 1,000 responses, because that represented 1% of the Black population in the GTA. So we ended up getting just over 1,000, 1,024, and it showed that we had 96% support. 96% of the respondents said that they would, within a year, transfer all their banking to our credit union, which was amazing. I knew there was support in the community, but I didn't know it was that overwhelming. And since then, everybody that I talked to is like, when are you opening doors? Every week I get a call. I want to transfer my mortgage to you guys. When are you guys opening your doors? And then we're like, we're still trying to get, we're still in the process. So we've been working hard, and we've done our, like I said, our feasibility study. And then from there, after doing the community survey, we did the feasibility study. After doing the feasibility study, we did our business plan on our 10-year financial projections. And then we were able to engage with KPMG. We got them to come on board to vet all our numbers, cross all the T's, dot all the I's. And also, when you go to when you go to FISRA and you have the stamp of an organization like KPMG, you have a stamp of approval from them. It just makes our our application that stronger. But getting to the application, when we had our first discussion with FISRA, it was very interesting. They really wanted to encourage us to kind of go under somebody else's banner, and we said, no, we need our own credit union. Because at the time, FISRA was, they're very concerned about credit unions when they come on board, whether they're viable, sustainable, and all that sort of stuff, right? So they were first, and this is about 2.5 years ago, so they were pushing us towards, again, going under somebody else's banner. And we're like, no, we need our own. We need to support our own community. And then when we started giving them the reasons why, in terms of the Black community being underserved, underbanked, and the systemic biases in the financial institutions, then they understood. Yeah, okay. And we told them, like, this is what we're going to do. And they would say, okay, fine, let's do it. You guys go ahead and do it. And that's what we've done. And we've since, like I said, we put together a package. We brought people on board like Ryan, made sure that our package is really, really strong. And I'm really, really proud of the work that people like Ryan and myself have done and put forward to the FISRA. And I'm confident that we'll be successful in our application. Um,
Excellent.
so yeah.
I
And
have one more question
oh
before
yeah.
Ryan jumps in. From the time the idea to the time of filing, how long of a period of time was that?
5 years.
Okay, no, pretty good.
Five 5 years. And it was really funny because when we first met with FISRA about 2.5, almost 3 years ago, we told them, okay, when can we, register with you guys? And they said, well, you know, it'll take you a while to get all that stuff together. And we said, no, 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 no. We were really gung ho. No, no, it's not going to take long. It'll take us a couple months. And we didn't have anything besides the community survey. And they says, no, it's going to take you a while. It'll take you about 2 years or so. And we're like, no, 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 we'll have it done like in a couple months. And they they were right. It took a while. I mean, also, COVID came in and um, kind of paused things for a little while here and there. We wanted to do a few things that we couldn't do, a few town hall meetings to bring people physical invitation and get together, so to bring this out to the community, but didn't happen. And then it just things just took a while. But it takes a while putting together all that, like the studies and the impact studies and the business plan and the um, feasibility study, all that. It took a while, and even going through the process again, we got KPMG, and I think it was probably within the last year we got KPMG involved, and it's taken a while because they go through and then they say, oh yeah, change this. And then when you change this, it has a ripple effect. It changes a whole set of stuff. And it just took us months to get to a point where we were comfortable and confident with what we were going to present to FISRA. And we're still working on stuff.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I was curious. What were you seeing at the Italian credit union that you felt was needed? Like, what were they able to accomplish that the Black community, because we didn't have a credit union, was missing out on?
Well, what I saw was the products and some of the services that they were doing specifically for their community. For example, they had affiliations with banks in Italy and Europe. So therefore, they were one of the few institutions that actually had um, Italian lira and euro GICs, right? So people coming from from Italy, or they're traveling back and forth, they could put in the GIC. Also, they had banking relationships again with banks um, in Italy. So a lot of people go and they'll spend months in Italy. They have access to their money, and they could also transact. I mean, now with the way things are, it's a lot easier. I'm talking, this was about 12 years ago, so the landscape in terms of financial institution was a lot different. So that was quite, for me, that was really interesting. I'm like, they're doing all this stuff for their community, and I'm like, there's a lot of things and services that we can do specifically for our community. And one of the other things that I saw was they were doing a lot of engagement with the community and helping build up the financial knowledge within their community. And I'm like, that's what we need. We need that. We need to build up the financial knowledge in our community to show our community not only um, how money works, but how to make money work for you. All right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to jump in here because we got some comments coming in already. So, frequency event promoters, Ivor, we would love to work with you with your marketing, advertising, and promotional efforts. So, if you want to get in touch with them, Ryan has their contact information. I do also.
Okay.
Angie says, I've been waiting myself. So, she's been waiting. Frequency also says, by the way, nice Paku tees.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Ryan Singh, good morning, Ryan Singh, saying, how much is the founder's investment?
Founders investment. Ours will be the same as everybody else. It's going to be open to the community to invest. It's going to be $100 a share for a minimum investment of $1,000. So, I mean, we'll have it out there. I mean, we're going to send it out. So anybody any and anybody could invest. And how that's going to work for now is that until we get conditional approval from FISRA, which we expect to get in the next maybe six months or so, we we cannot transact as a credit union because we do not have the license yet. So because we do not have the license yet, we cannot issue the shares. What we're going to be doing to start off right now is we're going to do what is called a pledge campaign. So we're going to send out, you know, marketing, and that says, you know, you're going to pledge to purchase X amount of shares when we do get our conditional approval. So we're going to build up that base of investment through the pledge at first, right now, and then once we get our conditional approval, we could now incorporate as a credit union, and we could also transact. So now we could also sell the shares. So once we're able to do that, then we'll contact the people who've made the pledge and says, hey, you pledged to buy, you know, $1,000 worth of shares. Here, you know, we're here going to be your shares. You know, now's the time to pony up the money. So
And so,
that's go ahead.
Yeah, is that a minimum of 10 shares? Or can a person buy one for 100, or they have to buy 10 for 1,000?
Actually, I got to confirm that. I believe it's actually, sorry, I believe the minimum's 100, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, the minimum's 100.
Yeah. And that would get you one share.
That will get you one share.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. We have another question here. Yeah, we've got, and you may have already answered this one, inquiring where to send funds to support the push of 15 million.
Okay, so great question. We have our website, which is www.pacu.ca. There is if you want to donate and help with, you know, the funds at the beginning, to start up funds to help us get going, there's a donate button. You donate what you can. As I mentioned before, we're going to be doing a pledge, so we're going to have that on our website pretty soon. So you're going to be able to go in online and make your pledge online. And we're also going to be sending it out through various social media. We have a LinkedIn page, we have Twitter and Facebook pages, I believe. Ryan, what's the other pages? I'm trying to remember. We basically all the social media, so you could subscribe to one of those pages, and the information, once we have it, hopefully we'll have it by the end of this week, we'll have it out to everybody, so we can start making those, people can start making those pledges. But also, yes, we have an email, info@pacu.ca. Send us an email there, and we'll also forward information to you when we start our campaign.
Just want to jump in. The world is full of acronyms these days. So when we were talking about FISRA, yes, that stands for the Financial Service Regulatory Authority of Ontario. So when we say FISRA, some people go, what the heck? I'm talking fizz this, fried fish this? No, FISRA, Financial Service Regulatory Agency. Oh, you know, well, I had to get the Easter plug.
No, that's good. Right? Yes.
So that's what it stands for.
Yes.
Just want to make sure people, because everyone are different levels of financial understanding and knowledge, yes. Right?
Yeah. And I was curious because, of course, every time we've done a town hall or when you came to First Fridays, the question comes up around the previous credit union that the Jamaican Canadian Association was able to put through. So typically, what's your answer towards people that ask, oh, but we tried this already, and what's going to be different? How do you typically respond?
Okay, you know, usually I have David or Adoma here to answer because they're more educated on that. But from my gathering is they went too big, too fast. They were going along fine. It was just it was just associated with the Jamaican Canadian Association, and they were going along fine. And then at the time, the provincial government, I think it was under Bob Ray at the time, wanted to see them grow. So promises were made, and so they went ahead and they did a lot of things that based on those promises that were made. Then when the Ray government, you know, lost out, and the Mike Harris came in, they pulled the plug. Mike Harris government pulled the plug on all that promises on basically the funding that they were going to get to grow. So they had made all these commitments, financial commitments, based on the promise that they had, and then they had basically they had the legs cut out from under them by the incoming new provincial government, and that's what really caused the problem.
All right. I'm going to keep up. The comments are beginning to really fly in, so I want to try to keep up so we don't get too far behind. Yeah. Angie says, I've been waiting 3 years, LOL.
But thank you, Angie, for patiently waiting.
And
Don't
she
worry.
also say, yes. Good to see you here, Ivor. Missed you on the other side. Question from one of our great supporters, Tim Frey. Is there a maximum investment, and is there a policy about an investment consortium investing large amounts? Good question.
Okay, very good question. So, according to our prospectus, the largest investment amount is $250,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Frequency has a question. If we are hearing right, if you need 50 million, quick math states that you need 15,000 people to donate $1,000 each. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And they definitely want to connect with you. Yes, we can. And
All right.
also, Creative Indu saying there is no e-transfer account or system.
What?
I have a feeling. Are people also able to donate via e-transfer? I believe that's what they're asking. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but is there a way people can donate to you via e-transfer?
Well, if you click on the donate button, I believe you can, because I know I've done it before. So,
well, you're the best. Well, you're the best testimonial.
I've done it.
There you go.
I've contributed to the cause, so I know it can be done.
It would not be good. It would not be good if you didn't contribute to your own cause, right?
Yeah.
Macmillan Group, good morning. With sponsor of today's broadcast, Ivor, great to see you. Thanks for being steadfast with this process. You've always been a huge advocate for taking Afro-Caribbean to the next level financially.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ray, for your kind words. I've known Ray for quite a while.
All right. And this also here, we have here, it is important, Ray, again, it is important that more of us do what Ivor did, understand the system and use it to help our community build and grow. Kudos. There you go. Ryan,
So,
we're caught up.
I'm curious how much involvement do you feel the government should play in the development of PACU? Because you told the story of the previous history and promises made and that being kind of cut out. So I'm curious how you feel like the current government, what role could they play, and what do you feel like is missing so far?
It's like support from the government is a two-edged sword, right? I believe it should be there because the impact that we're going to have on the community, not just the Black community, but the community at large, the whole community, is huge. Because I think if I remember correct, when we did the impact study, in the first 5 years, we're going to help create over 300 jobs. We're going to hit the total economy, Canadian economy. We're going to help it grow by about $12 million. And that's just, just by ourselves. We're going to help. That's how much of an impact we're going to have on the Canadian economy. I think for the provincial economy, it was somewhere about $5 million. So, they should be there helping, because that's money going in the coffer. That's actually money hitting the government's coffers. The greater impact on the economy, the impact on the economy is even greater than that. But that's money hitting the government coffers. Within 5 years, you're looking at about $12 million that we're going to help put into the federal government's pocket. So they should, since they're going to benefit, they should be supporting us, and in some way or the other. There's I'm trying to remember the acronym, because you mentioned there's all kinds of acronyms. There's an acronym for the Indigenous Financial System. They have an actual system, a group. There's a NACA or something like that. And the government, both federally and provincially, are heavily invested in those. and they should be the same for our community, because I believe that, not I believe, I know that we are going to have just as much of an impact, and it's only good. Only good can come from it, from a strong from a strong Black community financially. Only good will come from it for everybody at large.
Good stuff. For so those who are watching live on the replay, we actually have the website there for you. So when you go to the PACU, which is PACU.ca website, this is what you're going to see, and you see the donate today right in the green there. And you can scroll further down, but that's what it looks like. So I wanted people to have a visual of the website. So just wanted to show that. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, and I was curious your I guess thought process with the name PACU and Pan African Credit Union. And of course,
Okay.
people in the camp of, oh, should be the Black Credit Union. There's people in the camp that should just be African Credit Union. So I know that was a long discussion with your internal team. So how did you land on that? And what's been the
Well,
feedback?
I'm glad you asked that question, because you're right. It was quite a discussion. It was quite a process that we went through, because we wanted a name, a brand that encompasses the the Black diaspora. And as we all know, we are not a monolith diaspora. We're very diverse within our own. So we came up with various names, you know, Afro Can Credit Union. We came up, the Black Canadian. And there were so many different names that we came up to. But basically, when we landed on Pan African Credit Union, was a number of reasons. One, that name encompasses all of the diaspora. It doesn't single out one Black or whatever. It encompasses all. And also, just reading and looking at the principles of Pan Africanism, this is really what it was. You go back to Marcus Garvey and those men who breathe and live this stuff, and this is the kind of stuff that they wanted us to do, for us to help ourselves and help bring up our community, help build up the financial literacy in our community, and help grow our community, which will help all the communities at large. A strong Black community is, like I keep saying, it's only good for everybody. So we landed on that name because it encompasses all of the African diaspora, whether you're from Africa, whether you're from Jamaica, Trinidad, Nova Scotia, United States. It encompasses all of us. We wanted to be all inclusive when it came to our community.
Gonna go back to the comments because they're flying.
I can imagine.
Yes. So to answer Raymond McMillan, the Mill Group, to answer Ryan's question, 0. Licensing at the provincial level is all that is required. Note that most governments have a 4-year lifespan. We can't base our growth on that. Time to grow independently. Angie has, Ivor, is it going to be brick and mortar or just online?
Both. It's not just all. We're gonna have a brick and mortar. We have to have at least one brick and mortar. That's part of the requirement from FISRA.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned before, we got 2 municipalities that we're involved in right now: the city of Brampton, the city of Toronto.
West of Yonge Street. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but I'm glad that said. And the reason why it's going to be online is because this is a provincial license.
Yeah.
So we don't want to exclude our brothers and sisters up in Ottawa region, up in Sudbury, even some up in Timmins, Windsor, Hamilton. So we're going to be online, and as we grow, we're going to have kiosk and representatives, physical representation out in those areas.
Okay. Next question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Is there any startup capital that is guaranteed by all levels of government?
We have no startup capital guaranteed by any levels of government right now.
Okay. Another question here. Will the standard lending practice be different than the current large institutions?
Well, okay. Very, very good question. I would say yes. It will be different, but we will be doing our due diligence. And the reason why I say it's different is because the current practices by a lot of the large institutions are biased towards the Black community or against the Black community. and hence the reason why we are starting the Pan African Credit Union. Um, and Ray, no, I worked with Ray a long time ago, and while I was working with Ray, I did some business plans for a couple of startups. Or I used did business plans for startups, and when I was doing that, I found that there was a lot of biases towards my black clients than there were towards my white clients. It was a lot harder to get financing for them. We had to jump through more hoops. There was always obstacles put in our way. And then when I went in and worked with the credit union, when I worked in the financial institution, I kind of understood why. People got to understand the banks. Their main focus is, are we going to get our money back?
Well,
That's
no, they're in the business to sell money.
yeah. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
Are we going to get our money back? Right. So when they look at a proposed client, and and they see a black client, there is natural biases that comes up. So in order for them to feel comfortable to ensure that they get their money back, they put in extra um, obstacles or requirements because they want to be assured that they get their money back, right? So the thing about the Pan African Credit Union is you're going to be judged based on the merit of your portfolio, the merit of your application, not on where you live and what you look like, right? So we're going to be different, but yet the criteria are going to be the same, right? We may have some special products or services that we come out specifically for the Black community, but we're going to be doing our due diligence just the same. But the thing is, you're going to get a fair shake. We're going to treat you as creditworthy as anybody else, and that's going to be the difference.
Curious, can non-Italians bank at the Italian credit union?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So I asked the question because it's important to know there's big pools of money globally, and of course in Ontario, uh, in other
Communities.
communities, yes. And so a lot of times we get stuck in, okay, this is for Black people and we can only sell to Black people. But knowing that, hey, if it's a product that's just good, people are going to be interested in it, and that's
Yeah.
going to add a capital to the Black community. So
Yeah.
I was curious how the Italian credit union worked, because I know that question would come up for us too.
So we're applying under what is known as a cultural credit union license, right? So our specific goal is our cultural group, which is Pan African, or that's our African. Of people of African diaspora. That's going to be our cultural groups. Like you see credit unions out there, you have the Polish credit union, the Ukrainian credit union, and all the different credit unions out there. Those are cultural credit unions. And when you apply under that license, you have to have 97% of your membership has to come from that community, right? So there's 3% that could come from other community. And when you get quite large, then that 3% it could be significant. So yeah, there is room for other communities to partake and join us.
Okay.
So
So Marlon Stephen is saying here, we need this, but we need to take more risk as a community as well. Ray is saying, here, yeah, credit unions have lending guidelines. For example, mortgages are qualified at a lower rate than the stress test rate. That is why a credit union is important for community growth. And then Christopher has a question. If one donates to this cause, does PACU have the capacity to issue tax deductible receipts?
Great question. When you hit that donate button, you are sent to the Jamaican Canadian Association website, and you will get a tax receipt from the Jamaican Canadian Association, because we're still right now as it is an initiative. We haven't got our license yet, Once we get our license, then we can't accept donations anymore. But up until then, we can, and it can be done through the JCA.
I have a further question. You've shared some features and benefits, and maybe some you haven't listed. What when this becomes a reality? What are
Mhm.
the feature and benefits for Black Canadians, and what are features and benefits for the Black Canadian community?
Okay, so there's our two mandates is one to help grow Black businesses. That's going to be the heartbeat of the community growth, the economic growth of the community, right? Because once we grow the Black businesses, then economically the community gets better. I always give the story. Ryan's heard me told it a number of times. You know, you hear the story about the dollar in the Black community lasts like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something ridiculous like that. And then you go to other communities and it lasts for days. That's because when you go and spend your dollar, your daily dollar, right? You don't spend it in our community, right? Black gas stations. I've been in Canada for 50 years. I've only been to one Black gas station, you know. Pharmacies. I have yet to go to a Black pharmacy. Corner stores. I have yet to go to a corner store that's owned by a Black person. Grocery chains. I've one down the street. Thankfully, finally, there's a major grocery chain that's owned by a Black person. So when you go and you spend your daily dollar, it's you're spending it outside our community. We need to change that. We need to start spending within our community because once that happens, that's where the growth happens, and that's when we start breaking all these systematic biases and obstacles.
And I would even go one step further is that we don't even hold our money in the Black community. Right
Yeah.
now, as soon as you get your direct deposit or you deposit your check, it's actually being held outside of the community. And
Yes.
those banking institutions are leveraging that money to make more money. So,
Yes.
us knowing that if we're able to hold our money now in our own Black institution, that capital that is being leveraged to create is coming back to
Yeah.
support the community. So if you take anything away from this conversation, it's be part of PACU because you're now going to be able to hold your money in the community longer and will be able to leverage it and support the community more.
So that's number one is, growing the Black businesses and community. The second one is increasing financial literacy within the Black community. That's something that we really need to work on. You know, like I said, I know Ray very well, and Ray has done a great job of teaching his children about the power of money and how it works. We need more people like that teaching our children and teaching our community how money works and how to make money work for you. We're not doing a good job of it, and so we need to really push that, and that's going to be one of the things that we are going to do as the Pan African Credit Union. And I'll give a perfect example. So you come in, and it was asked, are we going to be doing anything different than the other banks? So we're going to have to do the same due diligence. So say you come in and you're applying for a certain loan, but you don't qualify. We do our due diligence, we don't qualify. Now, if you go to any of the large financial institutions, all they'll do is they'll probably send you an email or a letter saying, you didn't qualify, check your Equifax or your Trans America to see why. No, we're not going to do that. Right? We're going to work with you. We're going to say, hey, you didn't qualify because A, B, and C. These are the reasons why you didn't qualify, because A, B, and C. In order to fix A, B, and C, you need to do X, Y, Z. So we want you to do X, Y, Z. Come back to us in the next 6 months to a year, and then we'll see if you've done X, Y, Z. Then now you will be able to qualify for the loan. And not only that, hopefully you are a member of the credit union. We'll be checking up on you every now and then to make sure you're doing X, Y, Z. Right? So that's the thing we're going to do by educating the community. Also, we're going to have certain programs, we're working with people like ACBN and the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce and BBPA. And we'll be doing programs with them to help build up the financial literacy of the community. Because once as a community, we understand how money works and how to make it work for us, there's no stopping us.
I just want to some again great comments coming in from especially from our regulars. Marlon Stevens says, unfortunately, with the lack of wealth that we are starting from, we will likely fall into the areas where low income exists, and the other areas that we absorb into. So systemically, get caught up in most caveats that negatively affect receiving debt financing. We need multiple avenues, banks, investment opportunities, etc., etc.
I don't really subscribe to that because, again, once we learn how to make money work for us and how money works, once you totally understand that, you can break yourself out of that cycle because I've seen it done. I've seen it happen. So
Okay.
you can't be thinking, oh, we're stuck in this on this hamster wheel. No, we're not stuck. It's
Okay.
just a matter of education and application and execution. Once we
Well,
do those,
I think education, making a decision, and taking action.
yes.
Farley is saying it was also unwise to brand the effort with one island. Pan African Credit Union as far and are way more inclusive. It inherently includes all Black people. Please speak to the 97% requirement. And he also says, yeah, the 97% client base is essential to the marketing and outreach efforts. Want to talk about that?
So again, as being a cultural credit union, 97%, according to FISRA, I don't know if that's changed, but we'll have those discussions with FISRA. But according to them, 97% of our membership has to come from the Black diaspora. So basically, it has to come from people who identify as Black, right, or African. So once we meet that requirement, we're good. I don't think we'll have a problem meeting that requirement, because again, the focus is on the community. We're very transparent about that. So when we're marketing, we will be marketing to the Black community, to the Black diaspora in Ontario.
Okay.
Um, so yeah.
So that well, I'm just going to put a comment here. Marlon said he never spoke about being stuck. That is what
Okay.
he's saying. Okay, but here's a question for you. Now, is this only restricted then to people in Ontario? Say someone in BC, someone in Scotia wants to invest.
We keep hearing that. I've gotten calls from people in Halifax, people in Alberta, and people in BC. They're like, "We need that here. We want it here. Please start up something here." Unfortunately, to start up, we have to start up in Ontario because it's a provincial
Yeah.
license. We could get what is a federated model later on, but to do that, we have to have
A lot more work. It's
a
a
lot more
lot
work.
more work.
Plus, also, we have to have a significant amount of money, as they call, under management. You're looking at about $10 billion
Okay.
asset under management to think about getting a federated credit union license.
Okay.
Like for example, I think Van City is probably one of the first that's applied for it. I think also Alterna and Meridian maybe have. I'm not too sure, but that is something that's in our future plan. And another reason why we came up with the name PACU is because we're looking at nationally and globally.
Okay.
Right, we're looking at expanding there. So we didn't want to have the name Canadian in the name because we didn't want to limit it to just Canada.
Okay. Chris is saying, I'll donate 1,000 to this cause. If 9 entrepreneurs are willing to come together and donate the same, this would be a total contribution of 10K to PACU.
Beautiful. That's how it starts. That's how it
Question:
starts.
does PACU intend to leverage the Black U.S. population? And if yes, how do they plan to deal with the cross-border banking? Also, how do provincial guidelines affect that if yes? Hashtag 40 million Black folks.
So here's the thing, as I mentioned, it's a provincial license. So we have to deal with people here in the province. If we want to do other provinces, we'll have to set up in other province. And then if we want to set up in the US, then we got to go through the whole different process for setting up in the US, because it's all about jurisdictions, and every jurisdiction has their own way of doing things.
And so to invest, do you have to live in Ontario? Or is it that just for members?
Right now, no. you could be living somewhere else. We just have to, for non-Canadian, it's limited. It's going to be limited. We're going to put that in our prospectus in
Mhm.
terms of foreign ownership, because there is limitation on foreign ownership, but
Gotcha.
it's open to Canadians.
Okay. Marlon is saying building through nonprofit or not for profit has never worked in the history of the world. Understanding risk and investing as opposed to donating matters.
Okay, so the Pan African Credit Union is a for-profit enterprise, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to be under the community model, but it's a for-profit enterprise. The membership are the owners. We're going to have investments, right? As the 50 million, as I mentioned before, but the membership are going to be the actual owners and are going to share in the health and the success of the credit union. But it is a for-profit enterprise. I only mentioned the donation is that the the startup costs between now and when we get our conditional approval, there are costs. So we're trying to get the funds to help defray those costs, but it
Okay.
will be a for-profit enterprise.
Ray is asking, do you plan to buy the building to house the corporate head office if you don't already own it?
That would be amazing. Right now, we're talking to both the city of Brampton, city of Toronto, to see if we can get uh, basically free space. Right, there's a few properties and vacant buildings that we're looking at. So if they could give us like a 100-year lease at $1, that'd be great.
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
guys, those
Yeah.
kinds of things. But yes, we would love to own our own building when the time comes.
Okay. Gentlemen, we haven't heard from in a bit. Robert Small, what is up, Robert? Agree with Farley. One other note, please go one step at a time. No one is expecting instant miracles, so don't promise them. This is a long distance race, not a sprint.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And a bit of trivia as you're pulling up the
uh,
next comment. Did you know the
mhm.
Bank of America used to be the Bank of Italy?
Yes, I know that.
For
I
those
know
that are
that.
watching, yes, I did not know that. I just learned that.
Ray was saying my question was related to having a U.S. address.
Okay.
And then Farley is saying all Black people are African. The colonial bus stops of America, U.S., Trinidad, Nova Scotia are just that, bus stops. Love it. We got a smart audience, so people come
Oh
on.
yeah.
If you're gonna come on, people, you gotta get ready. Okay. Marla is saying I like and would like to be a member ASAP and like to see the prospectus.
Okay. So again, you can subscribe to our LinkedIn page or our various social media page. That will be coming out hopefully by the end of this week.
Okay. And Chris is saying, if the 50 million is not reached, is there an expiration date with the application? Good question.
Well, very good question. So when we get the conditional approval, they give you 3 to 6 months to come up
Wow.
with that 15 million. So
Wow.
that's why we're getting started now.
Wow.
That's why we're getting started now, so that by the time we get our
Wow.
conditional approval, we have that in place.
Wow. 3 to 6 months. Like an old Queen song says, under pressure. Wow.
But
Farley is
here's the thing. I don't see it as pressure. I don't.
okay.
I think that you'll be surprised by the strength of the Black community.
Okay.
I think you will be. I think
Yes,
you'll be.
Dr.
No,
Vibe would be surprised.
no, I'm not. No, I just say
He doesn't
under
even use the
pressure.
word community. We gotta show him. Yes.
Farley is saying Dr. Vibe is correct about Durham. Durham actually has the highest per capita number of Black people who hold post-secondary diplomas, degrees, homeowners. So that's why I don't leave Durham out.
No,
Don't.
when we did our survey, we had about 42% of our applicants was from the city of Toronto, 26% was from Peel, and 13% was from Durham. So no, we know. Don't worry.
Ray is saying credit union cooperatives have been the financial building block of the Black community in the Caribbean and the U.S. since emancipation. Very important for our growth yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And Shane, haven't heard from you in a minute. Great venture. One day you will own the building. Wow. Audience, you're on fire. Man, you had a good Easter bun and cheese weekend, man. And the fish was fried, man. You're working off the calories by typing the keyboard this morning. Ivor, you've got to get on radio TV very quickly so this propagates. 3 months is not a long time.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that comment to let it be. Ryan, comments?
No, again, everybody that is watching today, please share the word. Check out the website to understand a bit more about PACU and the Pan-African Credit Union. The campaign, I would say, is about to go into full gear or full swing. So we're going to be, I feel like, more in-person type stuff happening as things are trending in that direction. So stay tuned for that. But if you're listening now, definitely reach out. Was it info@pacu.ca?
Info@pacu.ca. Plus, also when you go to that screen, there's a subscribe button. If you hit subscribe, if you're not already a subscriber, we send out newsletters just to update you as to what we're doing and where we're going.
And one last question: you mentioned if people are declined, that they have to kind of finish certain things or fix certain things, and plugging into different organizations that could support them in doing those things. Mm-hmm. What's the call out to the current Black entrepreneurship ecosystem? There's 40 organizations that are supposed to be supporting people with those types of loans at the banks. What do you want to see these organizations do in the short term?
So as an entrepreneur, I would be reaching out to organizations like ACBN, and you guys are doing amazing work. So kudos to you, Ryan, for the work you guys are doing. I know you've got the small business loans that are actually helping get small businesses up and going. So, ACBN, it would be a good starting point. There's the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce. They're doing good work also for Black businesses. And, the BBPA is also there. There's a lot of good organizations like that. Those three alone I would get started with, just as a Black entrepreneur to figure out where I could get.
I want to know, what can these organizations do for PACU?
Thank you.
Our organizations doing.
So what we would like to do is to have these organizations come on board, and spread the word to their membership, but also let their membership know we're going to be doing also I guess, for lack of a better word, a deposit account drive. So as a business, as an agency, we would like you guys to pledge, saying, when PACU opens, we're going to put at least 50% of our banking is going to go through PACU. Right. So if we do that, and then it gets the word out to all the business clients out there, because I said our number one mandate is to build up the Black businesses. So, once we create that groundswell of support, we will be able to help you. And also, since you being a member, there are going to be benefits that we'll be able to pass on to you and help you. But in the beginning, if you could make that pledge to say, you know what, when you guys open doors, I'm going to start at least 50% of my banking is going to be done through you guys. That would be great. So what we want to do is create a list and show everybody, hey, these are all the Black businesses and the Black community agencies that are joining PACU, and get that list out there.
Okay. One last question, Christoper, is to be clear, donations can only come from Ontario, or the world can donate?
The world can donate. The donation in your receipt is going to be a Canadian tax receipt, though.
Okay. Ivor, impressive. Yes. You survived the firing squad.
Is that what you call this? Hey man, this is just a friendly conversation.
No, I'm playing. I'm just playing. I just tell people to come on here. We have a smart community.
Yeah. Well, so I know a number of the men on here and a number of the ladies on here. So yeah.
They don't play. So they are smart people. So this is good
Yes.
stuff. So again, any final words you have first before we let you get on with your day?
So again, people go to our LinkedIn page and our social media, our website, and send us an email, info@pacu.ca, and we'll be having town halls with the various communities like CBCC. We're going to have a webinar with them pretty soon, and we're going to do stuff with other community agencies. We're going to actually also go on a little bit of a road show, go to various other communities, like go up to Ottawa, go down to Windsor, just to build up
Again,
awareness.
don't forget Durham.
Yes, we'll hang out in Ajax. I'll go visit my brother-in-law in Oshawa. We'll hang out with you guys.
Okay.
No worries.
All right. Don't forget that
No, we
Durham
won't
area
forget
is
Durham.
very, very, very key. Even though I don't live there, it's a key there. I'm east of Yonge Street, so don't forget us. All right. So let's just say last comments here. Christoper, 50 million, 15,000 people, $1,000 each. Let's go. Ray's saying, thank you, Ivor. Thanks for all the information. Thank you for doing it. Christoper says, great job. Tim Frey says, Ivor, you have my pledge, and I will push my partners and staff to join PACU.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. And
my pleasure.
anytime you come back here, there's room. We'll make room for you. All right.
So when we get the conditional approval, I'll be back on and let everybody know.
Excellent. Take care. Be well. Keep the
All
faith
right.
for you and the team and your family. Give yourselves
All right.
grace.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, family. Fire. You guys are on fire today. I love it.
Love it.
Good
Love
stuff.
it, love it.
Good
Yes.
stuff. Brian, any thoughts?
Hey, it's go time. We talk a lot about things that are missing in the Black community, and now we're putting in place things that are needed. So hey, if you thought about us needing a financial institution, the application is in. Let's put our full support behind it and make sure it's a reality. The ball is really in our court now. Let's make sure we support it so that if it doesn't go through, we can't look back and say we didn't do all that we could in order to support it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it progresses.
Excellent.
How about
Excellent. You? Yeah, it was informative conversation. I've heard about the organization, so I have more knowledge, so I have a little bit more clarity. So I hope that I'm not only did I get clarity, I hope that everyone who watched it today live and also watches on the replay get clarity. Have to thank people today because you guys made it happen as always. Your family, Tim, Christoper, Ray, Farley Flex, coming for you, Farley, Marlon, Ange G. We had Charmaine, hadn't seen a minute. Charmaine, hope you're doing okay.
Yes.
Robert Small, thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is good family conversation today. What is up for the rest of the week?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm extending Easter into this week where it's going to be kind of low key.
Very nice.
But, there's a couple grant applications due that always put pressure, but taking these. Oh, but Wednesday we are doing our grant writing info session. So if people want to join, we're going to be talking about the investment readiness program that finally launched. And I know the Black Youth Action Plan, that's pretty much due. Oh my gosh, what date is on Wednesday? So it might be, if you're just hearing about it now, wait for the next one. But yeah.
Message here from Farley. Ryan, be mindful that our needs are different as Black people. We have to ensure that our community is ready for this opportunity from a financial literacy standpoint.
Well, and that's where I asked the question about what can the organizations in our community do to support this? Because that mindset shift, the education piece, we can't only put it on to PACU to be delivering. We have to be able to step up. And I'm not just talking about the economic organizations, but every theme in the Black community, there's health, education, justice, social. We have to all come together and say, this is important. We need to make sure that the residents that we support understand it. So whatever that takes, we have to be able to put it together. And I know April 28th, we're going to be calling as many Black organizational leaders together to talk
you
about.
Sent me that email again. I got to respond to it. Yes.
Please and thank you. And share it with organizations that I might have missed. There's a link there to the different organizations that are on our spreadsheet. I don't know them all. So if you know any others, please forward it to them.
Good stuff. Well, folks, thanks. If you want to catch replays of these epic conversations, you can catch replays on my website, the Dr. Vibe Show. Not on my website. No, on my YouTube and Facebook pages. You can catch replays of these conversations. Please subscribe.
Yes.
You know, and also you can catch it on the ACBN, Afro-Caribbean Business Network Facebook and YouTube page, and Ryan's YouTube page. When you subscribe, the reason why we want you to subscribe, one, it helps with our analytics. Two, even more importantly, you get notified when we go on air, when we're going to go on air next. So we have a show coming up on Friday. Once we post it, you'll get notified. So you can, but you should be time blocking it anyways in your calendar. That's another conversation altogether. We don't know who we're going to have yet, but we are always going to have someone good on, even if it's just these two, well, skin and almost skinhead man will be on. So we're looking forward to the support. We appreciate your support. We don't take it for granted. So as always, we end off with this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and also don't just manage your time, manage your energy. All right. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith. We'll see you on Friday.